couple things, and hopefully, Sir Caruso. Okay, so I mentioned, we have this pivot on. Okay, now where's Karen Lewis Young? Where'd she go? I thought she was just here. Calling Senator Karen Lewis Young. Okay, let's get at least, where did Karen go?
You can't hold them. All right, get one, down one.
Okay, but now I would like Karen Lewis Young back in the room.
She went that way.
Yeah, super glue.
She went right. Sorry, go that way.
Can somebody just go in the back room, see if she's back there? Okay, well, we'll just proceed, Karen, okay, you make Karen.
Yeah.
Okay, just real quick, I mentioned last Friday about the pivot on after Friday. It's going to be a different thing, but I want the committee to finish strong through Friday. This last 2 days, we want to have some momentum. By that, I don't mean, telling anybody how to vote. What I do mean is taking on some of the tough issues, because we got this queue building up. So over the next 2 days, you'll see, you got an email about a voting list tomorrow. There's about 18, 19 bills on there. But we're going to start today this was Education Day, and we're going to start with 2 bills. Just going to vote 2 bills here in the education space. But as far as tomorrow goes, what I'd like to do is bring you all back here at 9 a.m., 9 to 10, and let's take on a bill that's been in the committee since last Friday, the 474 data center bill. I think we have to deal with it one way or the other. So we'll take these 2 bills, come back at 9 a.m., spend that hour with that, and then the rest of the list we will take up after our bill hearings tomorrow. And then, of course, we also have Friday, like we've done the last, and then we will be well poised to go into the pivot weekend, having accomplished a lot, I hope. So with all that, let's start. We've got a page of 4 bills withdraws. If you look at the voting list, you'll see 4 of the 6 bills on the list are withdraws, and I would certainly entertain a motion unfavorable as a consent calendar for all 4. Vice Chair Kagan moves unfavorable on those 4 bills. Is there a second? Second, Senator Washington. All in favor of the unfavorables on those withdrawn 4 bills, raise your hand. Okay, that motion carries unanimously. We're next going to go to the 2 bills we are going to vote on. Why don't we start with Senator Hester's bill 797, the Education Access to Attorney Advocates bill.
Certainly.
And we'll turn to Stacy.
Senate Bill 797, Education Access to Attorneys, Advocates, and Consultants for Special Education Program and Fund established. This bill establishes the access to attorneys, advocates, and consultants for special education program and fund, both administered by the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers Service. The program, I'm just going to call it the program instead of go through all that huge title, directs resources and services to eligible students to provide access to legal, advocacy, and consultant services. Eligible students are those with a disability whose parents, one, has a household income not more than 150% of the Maryland Legal Services Corporation income guidelines, and 2, made at least 1 attempt to resolve a disagreement with a public agency regarding the child's special education services or program. Beginning in fiscal 2026, the governor must include $2 million to the fund in the annual budget bill. There is one amendment from the chair, and this begins on page 29 of your packet, or the reprint begins on page 32 of your packet. These amendments strike the requirement to collect certain data as duplicative of existing requirements. It defines the term advocate. It requires the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers Service to seek qualified attorneys, advocates, and consultants for participation in the program. Qualified is the term that's added. It requires the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers Service to develop training for advocates and consultants on federal and state special education law and procedures in consultation with MSDE, local school systems special education directors, disability rights advocates, and representatives from the judiciary, and to develop and distribute certain written materials regarding the program. It also authorizes the Maryland Volunteer Legal Services to provide or authorize other nonprofit organizations to provide that training. It requires an advocate or consultant to complete the training to qualify to participate in or receive payment under the program. It requires the Maryland State Department of Education instead of the Maryland Volunteer Legal Services to administer the fund. It clarifies that Maryland Volunteer Legal Services may use the fund for certain purposes. It decreases the amount of the fund to $1 million from $2 million each year, and it requires the Maryland Volunteer Legal Services to collect additional information for inclusion in the annual report to determine whether the funds are being spent in accordance with the intent of the Maryland General Assembly.
Okay, and the bills jointly are second, B&T second, so this is gonna still have to go through B&T.
But they have approved. the
Okay, they've already approved it.
$100.
Okay, so we'll take questions. We'll start with Senator Carrozza.
Thank you. I was going back. I might have missed this hearing. So I went back and looked at PZAM had support with amendments, and it sounds like the amendments you just went through are those PZAM's amendments.
Correct. They had some concerns about lack of training for consultants and advocates. The term advocate was not defined. That was done. The stakeholders are being consulted on the type of training. They want to make sure those individuals who are providing advice and support to students and being paid with state money actually have the knowledge, because their position was that a person who lacks the knowledge might be more dangerous than a person who's untrained. So.
Okay. Senator Hester, did you want to add anything? You're as a sponsor of the bill, beyond what Stacy described in the amendments. Anything you want to add?
I mean, I would just reiterate that this is an issue we've been dealing with for decades, and I think it's a really ingenious solution, and the amendments, eliminate most of the opposition. So I'm really thrilled to see something move forward.
Okay, any additional questions? Sure. Yeah, Senator Washington.
This is a shall, not a may, or is this a shall? Is it like the up to, or is it in terms of the appropriations?
Mandatory annual appropriation of $1 million.
Okay, alrighty, great.
Okay, Vice Chair Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Stacy or Senator Hester. On page 5, line 20, I literally have a one-word question. Lines 18 through 20, it says notification of the right of the parent to be accompanied to the meeting by any individual who has knowledge or special expertise regarding the student. And I wonder why. So it's about special education, special expertise. What if it's grandma? What if it's the next door neighbor that the kid hangs out with a lot? I don't love the word special there. And I wonder if you could explain that and whether that should be removed.
So that provision is not relevant to the program. It's just general. It's giving parents notice that the student may be accompanied pretty much by any individual they choose.
I get that. I'm going to suggest deleting the word special. It seems like it raises the bar too high. And I think if it's grandma or the neighbor or whomever, I just think who has knowledge or expertise regarding the student says what we want it to say, unless there's some justification for the word.
Okay, any discussion about that one word adjustment? Sponsor, do you have any opinion about the use of the word special? Okay,
Council, like,
I mean,
does it have like special expertise of a special definition?
I don't think there's any problem with that.
okay, does anybody have we have a motion from
I move.
Vice Chair Kagan, removing the word special in that section, which apparently has no relevance to the actual program. Is there a second from Senator Hester, Senator Washington? Okay, any discussion? All in favor of deleting that one word? Raise your hand. All opposed? That carries. Okay, with respect to the rest of the packet. Okay, good job. With, as far as the rest of the amendment package, is somebody would like to move the amendments?
I would like to move.
Yes, a motion from the sponsor, Senator Hester, a second from Senator Washington. Discussion, further questions.
Just,
Senator Washington.
I agree. This is a great bill and supporting.
Okay, all in favor of the amendments, raise your hand. All opposed, the amendments carry unanimously.
Does
Now,
anybody want to put on co-sponsor?
does anybody want to be a sponsor on this bill? Okay, who wants to be on here? Okay, who does not want to be on this special education? Okay, okay, so we've got, okay, Brooks, okay, it's Hester's bill, Washington,
Wait, so no Galleon,
no Galleon and
no
no Carosa.
Carosa.
Where are you, Simon? Are you on or you're off? You're on? Okay, okay, everybody is on except for Carosa and Galleon,
Okay.
okay? Okay, all in favor of that sponsor amendment, raise your hand. Motion for the sponsor amendment, second. Okay, that sponsorship amendment carries, and now back to bulk. We've got a favorable motion on the package of amendments. In the second, I think I saw a second from Senator Washington, did I not? Okay, further discussion on that. All in favor of the package of amendments, raise your hand. All opposed, that carries. Okay, is there a motion favorable on the bill as amended? Is there a second from Vice Chair Kagan? A second, and again, we're on Senate Bill 797, favorable bill, motion as amended. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, that bill carries unanimously. Stacy, now we're on Senate Bill 738. Why don't you describe that bill and any amendments?
Senate Bill 738, Freedom to Read Act. This bill establishes that it is the goal of the state that each library is operated in a manner that recognizes the specified standards. Further, it provides that it is the intent of the General Assembly that any library, school library, resource center, or other library arrangement developed by the Maryland State Library Agency that receives funding from the state must adopt and follow a written policy consistent with the state standards for libraries. MSLA must develop policies for the operation of libraries that align with the state standards. The State Library Board, MSLA, and regional resource centers must incorporate the state standards. The bill makes funding for certain libraries contingent on the adoption of a written policy consistent with the standards. The state librarian is required to authorize the comptroller to withhold funds from county public libraries that do not adopt a written policy consistent with the standards. In your packet is the one amendment offered by the sponsor, Senator King, and that begins on page 2 with a reprint on page 9. What these amendments do is bifurcate the requirements for school library media programs and other libraries in the state to retain the current jurisdictional framework. Regarding school libraries, it establishes that it is the policy of the state that each local school system operate its school library media program consistent with specified standards tailored to the specific instructional support purposes of school libraries. It requires each local school system to develop and implement a policy and procedures to review objections to materials in the school library media program consistent with the U.S. Supreme Court legal precedent, and finally prohibits a county board from taking certain actions against a librarian, certified library media specialist, or school library media program support staff for performing their job duties consistent with specified standards instead of the standards for state libraries. Regarding other libraries in the state that receive state funding, this bill alters the definition of state standards and clarifies which libraries would be subject to the state standards. It provides that it is the policy of the state versus the goal of the state that certain libraries operate consistent with the state standards for libraries, requiring certain libraries that receive state funds to adopt and follow a written policy to operate the library consistent with the state standards in order to receive their state funds. And it requires the comptroller to withhold all state funds from a specified library if the state library board certifies that the library failed to meet the state standards, and to continue withholding those funds until the state library board certifies that a library has adopted a written policy consistent with the state standards. And finally, it puts the penalty for certain provisions back to 250 from the 1,000 originally proposed in the bill.
Okay, questions on anything you just heard? Okay. Any further discussion? Any motion?
Move the amendments
Got a favorable motion from Senator Washington, a second, Senator Kagan.
on the amendments.
I'm sorry, on the
Amendments.
amendments. We're just on the amendments on Senate Bill 738, just the amendments. Okay. Okay, seeing none, let's do a roll call on this, both, just on the amendments. Let's do them.
All right, Senator Kagan,
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Augustine, Senator Augustine, yes. Senator Gallion,
No.
Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson, Senator Watson, yes. Senator Louis Young,
Yeah.
Senator Louis Young, yes. Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carosa,
No.
Senator Carosa, no. Senator Hester,
Yes.
Senator Hester, yes. Senator Washington,
Yes.
Senator Washington, yes. Senator Salmonere,
Yes.
Senator Salmonere, no. Senator Feldman,
Yes, amendments carry 8-3. Now have the amendments on. Any further discussion? We've got Senator Gallion to offer. Okay.
Senator. Go through this, or you want to go through them?
Well,
To you.
can we just start with the first one and then, because if it were to pass,
Yes.
then we don't have to worry about the other three.
Absolutely.
Um,
Highly recommend that efficiency.
Yeah, so you want me to start out and then
Go for it.
so this amendment would strike the whole section dealing with school libraries and just make it just about our public libraries. So the reason behind that is, I don't think we should be mixing the school libraries and the regular public libraries. They should be separate, maintain separate entities. Putting library control together like that is pretty groundbreaking. So, a lot of the controversy over this, I think, deals with different issues at the elementary school level. And we talked about that back and forth a lot. I know you used to beat that dead horse. So I just think the best policy on this is to have them separate. So I would like to move the amendment that would strike out the school libraries and just leave it just with the public libraries.
Okay, can you shed a little, give us a little information, Stacy?
So what these amendments do is separate them out. So the state libraries or libraries that receive state funding, like county public libraries, the state resource centers, all of those are now separate from the school libraries. The purpose of those amendments was to bifurcate them and leave them on the current planes. And the reason for that is because school libraries are created by local school systems. They are not created by and not under the jurisdiction of the state library agency. So.
Okay, any other further questions? We're going to take a roll call on this one.
This is amendment number 1 only.
Amendment number 1 only is in
And
front of
there's
us.
motion. Is there a second?
I just
Carosa,
have a question on
Sure.
the explanation, but this what Senator Gallion's amendment does, it removes it from the whole bill, whereas what you said, it separates it, but you still have them under all the new requirements, correct? It's just that you've just.
They get their own. So under the bill, there's these state standards, which would apply to the other libraries. And those were essentially established by a policy from the state library board. So the amendments that were adopted to the bill for schools require local school systems to adopt a policy consistent with the standards that are written in the bill. So they're not under the jurisdiction of the state library board. They don't.
They're
The
separate.
standards are similar, but they are not the same because school libraries have different purposes than a general public library.
Right, so they're separate, but then they're still obviously held to all the similar type policies.
Or they have their own policies set by local school systems.
Okay, we have a motion favorable and a second from Senator Carozza. We're going to take a roll call on this one.
All right, Senator Kagan,
No.
Senator Kagan, no, Senator Augustine, Senator Augustine, no, Senator Gallion,
Yes.
Senator Gallion, yes, Senator Watson. Senator Watson, no, Senator Lewis Young.
No.
Senator Lewis Young, no, Senator Brooks.
No.
Senator Brooks, no, Senator Carozza,
Yes.
Senator Hester.
No.
Senator Hester, no, Senator Washington,
No.
Senator Washington, no, Senator Simoneer.
Yes.
Senator Simoneer, yes, and Senator Feldman.
Okay, know that that motion fails 3-8. We'll go next to amendment number 2 from Senator Gallion.
Yeah, I don't, whatever you think is best, Stacy, if handle these individually, if you want to do it, whatever you,
No, I think you should do them individually.
okay, that's fine. We'll go number 2 now. I'd like to, you want to
Okay, sure.
describe it first?
So amendment number 2, as sponsored by Senator Gallion, would authorize the local school system to have a policy on age appropriateness and explicit sexual content for materials and school library media programs. Do you want to talk about what Carol policy?
Sure. So if you remember during the bill hearing, I think a lot of the controversy and a lot of the questions that were centered around some things in Carroll County, and we kept hearing this term about banning books. That's kind of like that term we hear all the time, though I don't really think that's accurate. So I did a little research on what actually was going on there in Carroll County. So this amendment would authorize local as well. We already have amended, authorize the local school system to have policy on age appropriateness and explicit sexual content for materials in the school library media program. The Carroll County policy, the Board of Education recognizes that instructional materials should effectively support and enrich the educational programs of the school system. Instructional materials are defined as instructional content approved for system-wide use and provided to the student regardless of format, including printed or digital materials. And then the Board of Education of Carroll County recognizes that all instructional materials, including supplemental materials, shall meet the established general selection criteria. Aside from the instructional materials approved for instruction related to family life and human development, or as otherwise approved by the superintendent, all other instructional materials, including supplemental materials, shall not contain sexually explicit content. Sexually explicit content is defined as unambiguously describing, depicting, showing, or writing about sex or sex act in a detailed or graphic manner. So this amendment would kind of line up with that. And our school libraries are totally different than public. And when you're dealing with, especially elementary school age children, this just seems like a kind of a common sense thing to me that you kind of have these safeguards in place. So
I guess the question I have, and I guess I'm asking, my understanding is counties already or have this authority.
correct. So that's why I questioned the bill from the beginning, because counties can already do things. Why do we need this bill that we're getting ready to vote out if the counties can already do things? That was also the purpose of the first amendment that I proffered. So this just clearly would define, what we're trying to get at there. So.
Okay, further questions, Senator Carozza?
As I understand the way this amendment would work is we've already passed, we passed the amendments that separate the two. This amendment would authorize to have the policy, but it's also, I think, gives some detail about what the policy should include,
Yeah.
which would be new.
So
That it would mean not only age appropriateness, but it would also, the terminology of explicit sexual contact for materials.
So to respond, if I may, to her, so the goal is it would better define that a school system can have a policy on age inappropriateness and this kind of content. That's a simple explanation of it.
Provided regarding Carroll County as an example of what it might
Right.
look like. So that was provided for you, for the committee's purpose to look at and get an idea of what Senator Gallion was thinking would be an appropriate policy.
Okay, Senator Washington.
Thank you. Just on the amendment, you said that Carroll County hadn't banned any books, but they,
I think it was like
Did.
5 or something like that.
well, 9, there's actually 58 altogether. And so about 9 of them, it looks like they've been put back on. So I think the point of the legislation is just to set standards for how to show that books that are consistent with our standards. It's not keeping people from making those decisions. It's just that you have to have a set of standards. So as we said, it already is there. The bill is needed because books are being banned that have been a part of, like, I guess recently they put Slaughterhouse-5 back on. They took Slaughterhouse-5 off and then they just put it back. So there are books that are part of the educational requirements for high school and middle schools across the country that are being taken off of our students' shelves. And so that is taking, hurting their education. So we still need the bill. I'm against the amendment, but.
Okay, why don't you, one final response and then let's do a roll call. But
Nah,
you-
let's go ahead with the roll call. I don't have
Okay.
anything to add.
Okay, yes,
All right.
Lemuria.
Senator Kagan?
No.
Senator Kagan, no. Senator Augustine? Senator Augustine, no. Senator Gallion?
Yeah.
Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson? Senator Watson, no. Senator Lewisham?
No.
Senator Lewisham, no. Senator Brooks? Senator Brooks, no. Senator Carozza?
Yes.
Senator Carozza, yes. Senator Hester?
No.
Senator Hester, no. Senator Washington?
No.
Senator Washington, no. Senator Salmonair?
Yes.
Senator Salmonair, yes. Senator Feldman?
No, that motion fails 3-8. Okay, amendment number 3, Senator Gallion.
Sure. So this deals with the initial one. There's, I guess, a complaint. I think under the amended version of the bill, the sponsor amendments we passed earlier, it leaves the books kind of on the shelf, so to speak, until after there's a review. This does the opposite, where it would come off for, I think, what we end up like 30 days, but you want it no more than 30 days. And if they don't have it figured out by then, it goes back on. It's kind of my understanding of that amendment. So the purpose of this is to err on the side of safety and remove something, have an expedited process to make sure in less than a month that it can be determined whether it's appropriate or not, and would be right back on. So it's kind of the opposite of the way the reprint is.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Okay, you,
Like to move amendment number 3, attempt number 3.
okay, we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, let's do a roll call, Lemuria.
Senator Kagan?
No.
Senator Kagan, no. Senator Augustine, I'm sorry. Senator Augustine, no. Senator Gallion?
Yes.
Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson?
No.
Senator Watson, no. Senator Lewisham?
No.
Senator Lewisham, no. Senator Brooks?
No.
Senator Brooks, no. Senator Carozza?
Yes.
Senator Carozza, yes. Senator Hester?
No.
Senator Hester, no. Senator Washington?
No.
Senator Washington, no. Senator Salmonair?
Yes.
Senator Salmonair, yes. Senator Feldman?
No, that motion fails 3-8. Okay,
I'm not gonna offer that.
okay, no amendment 4. Okay, any further discussion? I entertain a motion on the bill as amended. And again, we're on Senate Bill 738 as amended. Is there a motion favorable from Vice Chair Kagan? Is there a second from Senator Washington? Let's do a roll call on Senate Bill 738 as amended. Lemuria, take the call.
All right. Senator Kagan?
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Augustine? Senator Augustine, yes. Senator Gallion?
No.
Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson?
Yes.
Senator Watson, yes. Senator Lewisham?
Yes.
Senator Lewisham, yes. Senator Brooks?
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carozza?
No.
Senator Carozza, no. Senator Hester?
Yes.
Senator Hester, yes. Senator Washington?
Yes.
Senator Washington, yes. Senator Salmonair?
No.
Senator Simon no. Senator Feldman.
Yes, that bill, as amended carries at 7-3. It as amended carries, 8-3. And that completes our work for today. And I'll see you back here at 9 a.m. to talk